in the country. Today, 83%. Politicians stoking the fire. What this means is a lot of different things, but I think you'll be able to see how similar it is, what the demagoguery really looks like. So in the 80s, we had a theme of economic nostalgia to remind people or to stoke the idea that people should be angry that we don't have it as we had it before.
Are you better off than you were 4 years ago? Is it easier for you to go and buy things in the stores than it was 4 years ago? Is there more or less unemployment in the country than there was 4 years ago? Is America as respected throughout the world as it was?
You could ask the same questions today, and a lot of the same kind of theme is playing out on the political stage today.
They work hard, they love their country, they play by the rules. But the cars, steel, and appliances they used to make are now being made overseas, where workers are paid $3 or $4 a day.
So, they used to make. The cars, steel, and appliances they used to make. It's the same kind of theme. And then, of course, there's blame politics on economic issues. Really, not just saying that the government has mismanaged things, but the opposition is contributing to, or in fact creating, the economic problems we face. Here's the 80s.
Once upon a time, 4 long years ago, most Americans could dream of owning a home. But Jimmy Carter's runaway inflation, with record high interest rates and a lack of mortgage money, has slammed the door on that dream.
Here's today.
Communities crumbling, families struggling. Too many local jobs are being sent to foreign countries. What's Congress doing? John Hostetler voted to reward companies that outsource, supporting $25 billion in tax breaks for corporations, including those that ship jobs overseas. He even voted to expand NAFTA, which cost Indiana 30,000 jobs.
So, it's really not just saying that they're incompetent, but it's they're doing it. The other side is doing it. And it goes into other issues. We now have a resurgence, I think, of race-tinged politics like we had in the 1980s. This is a picture of Ronald Reagan kicking off his campaign in Philadelphia, Mississippi on the issue of quote-unquote states' rights, a very famous watermark of I wouldn't say introducing race into politics, it certainly was in politics then, but helping make it a really legitimate, unfortunately, part of that campaign. And the next couple of slides I'm going to show you, I want to be clear, I was not for any of the candidates in the Democratic primary, but clearly we've seen a reintroduction of race as a legitimate campaign issue to demagogue. I think it's unfortunate. But just look at some of these headlines. It's the same kind of thing. And it goes even more deeply. Race in the 1980s, to create and stoke that uprising, was used as a physical safety issue.
Bush and Dukakis on crime. Bush supports the death penalty for first-degree murderers. Dukakis not only opposes the death penalty, he allowed first-degree murderers to have weekend passes from prison. One was Willie Horton, who murdered a boy in a robbery, stabbing him 19 times. Despite a life sentence, Horton received 10 weekend passes from prison. Horton fled, kidnapped a young couple, stabbing the man and repeatedly raping his girlfriend. Weekend prison passes. Dukakis on crime.
And it's the same kind of thing today.
Mothers killed, children executed. The tactics of vicious Central American gangs now on U.S. soil, pushing drugs, raping kids, destroying lives, thanks to gutless politicians who refuse to defend our borders.
The same kind of thing. And it goes into national security issues.
So I urge you to speak out against those who would place the United States in a position of military and moral inferiority.
Notice the construction of this, those, right? The vague those. The scapegoating, people who want to basically make America weak. Stoking that anger. Now look at this.
These people ought to kill us. Whether called Al-Qaeda, Islamic Jihad, Hezbollah, They're terrorists who want to kill all those who don't submit to their extreme ideology. Many seem to have forgotten the evil that happened only 5 years ago. They would cut and run in the Middle East, leaving Al-Qaeda to attack us again.
See the same kind of theme? Many, this vague many. They want to, essentially, they want to help kill you.
As governor, Michael Dukakis vetoed mandatory sentences for drug dealers. He vetoed the death penalty. His revolving door prison policy gave weekend furloughs to first-degree murderers not eligible for parole. While out, many committed other crimes like kidnapping and rape, and many are still at large. Now Michael Dukakis says he wants to do for America what he's done for Massachusetts. America can't afford that risk.
Right, he wants to kill you. Michael, it's not he's doing a bad job of securing the country. He actually wants to kill you, right? And again, we see the same kind of theme today.
The price we pay for spineless politicians who refuse to defend our borders against those who come to kill.
I mean, it's like it's the same exact theme. So what will be the result of today's uprising in this political climate? That's the real question that we're all asking now. Well, to know that the results can and probably will be exponential, we can look back at past uprisings. So, electorally, here's the 1928 election. Then the Great Depression hit, and here was the uprising election the following, in 4 years later, in one election. Just watch this. That's one election. Look at that, one election. And out of that came exponential change. Public economic investment, Social Security, labor law reform, energy infrastructure, all of basically the New Deal programs that we know of. The 1960s uprising. Here was the election of 1960 between JFK and Richard Nixon. Won thanks to, many think, to your mayor here. Here's the 1964 election. In the midst of the civil rights movement, the beginning of the anti-Vietnam War movement, and of course, again, exponential change. Voting Rights Act, Medicare, Medicaid, Civil Rights Act, war on poverty. 1980s uprising. Here was the 76 election between Carter and Ford. Here's the 1980 election. And out of that, again, exponential change. Tax cuts, social service cuts, labor persecution and deregulation, which we discussed, increased militarization, intensifying culture wars. So, while we all feel like this is a progressive moment, clearly it's not, we don't know which way it's going to go. And I think there are two possible outcomes to the uprising that I describe in my book. A conservative landslide, whether it's this time or the next time, or a progressive landslide. Let's look at what that might mean. Sorry, it has a little pause here. I wasn't as good at PowerPoint as I should have been. So, increased fear-mongering. This is the kind of thing that would dominate, really dominate in a conservative outcome, this kind of thing.
A call is placed from New York to a known terrorist in Pakistan. A terrorist plot may be unfolding. Should the government intercept that call or wait until the paperwork is filed? Nancy Johnson says act immediately. Lives may be at stake. Liberal Chris Murphy says no. Apply for a court warrant even if valuable time is lost.
All right, this becomes part of the major debate. Now, the thing I don't say in this, and we'll get into this, is Chris Murphy actually won this election, so which is a good thing.
I don't think.
So, increased fear-mongering, probably more war in Iraq.
I don't think Americans are concerned if we're there for 100 years or 1,000 years or 10,000 years.
This is part of the increased militarism that we'll see out of this uprising. Potentially a war with Iran, more saber rattling.
I want the Iranians to know that if I'm the president, we will attack Iran. We would be able to totally obliterate them.
That old Beach Boys song, Bomb Iran? Bomb, 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 bomb.
We're American
Now I want people to watch this. This is what I think is most prevalent. The rise of hyper-nationalism. Watch this ad.
We're Americans and